Now, before we tell you all the reasons why you should travel with your children, here are some common misconceptions why people are afraid to or choose not to. It's too stressful.
Too stressful. We've heard that one a lot.
It is stressful.
It can be stressful. However, there are, I think, some expectations that can be set or lowered, and there's also some parameters or supports that can be put into place to make it easier.
Yeah, I think it's mostly parents. Like, my thing is CTFD, right? Like, calm the bloop down. Like, when you're home, it's messy and stressful too. When you're on the road, it's probably going to be messy and stressful too. But you choose the adventure. And some of our greatest stories, like our family memories, are when it was super messy. And it would have been super messy at home too, but it's like the culture building and the feelings and the storytelling and the middle of the night chasing fireflies in the field because we had a tire burst, down the road and we didn't get to our destination until it was too late. That would have happened whether I had children with me or not. But the opportunity to teach them the lessons along the way, like grace under pressure or making the most of things, you don't always get in a controlled and expected environment.
True. And to give clear example, we were flying to Ireland to see relatives a few summers ago, and we actually had to make an emergency landing in Gander, Canada. That's the famous island where after 9/11, where all the planes were diverted, there were a ton of planes diverted to this little island for a few days. And when things were grounded, if you remember 9/11. And we had the same thing. We actually, our plane caught on fire. And
no one's ever going to travel again.
Let's look at this though. Yeah. Our plane had a small fire. Delta did an incredible job and kept everyone calm. We're landing, and it was only Maggie and Sammy. Only Maggie and Sammy went on this one, and they said, "Oh wow, look at all those fire engines on the runway." And so I tell you all this because, as Jamie jokes, people say, "Oh, I'll never travel again." We had to sleep on a hard floor in an airport because it was international and we didn't have customs to go through, so we couldn't even go out. We roughed it that night, but we laughed and had such a good time, and we were delayed a day getting to Ireland, but everyone was safe. Everyone was fine. We roughed it. We had Egg McMuffins and water, I think 12 hours later, brought to us. But we made the most of it. And looking back, and the kids, and Maggie and Sammy were about 9, and I think they were 8 and 6. They're 8 and 6, and they still talk about that trip today. So you want to take a stressful situation that didn't ruin it. And so, because we didn't let it ruin it too, I think we kept a good attitude. But again, these things happen, and people weren't, it didn't kill the moment for us.
Yeah, I think that leads us into the next thing where they say, the children won't remember it anyways. And that's one of the stories they love to tell and they can recount is that trip to Ireland.
Yeah, Sammy was 6 and he talks all the time about that. So I don't believe that's true. In fact, I know some of my earliest memories, and we could never do vacations quite like we've been able to do, was some of the trips that I was able to take. And I can think of very young ages, 4 or 5 years old. And so when we ask our children highlights of the year, it's normally something simple at home or an adventure. And so there is a balance there. So
I think that it ingrains in them that life is meant to be lived and not observed. So instead of choosing controlled experiences, they're training their nervous system, even if they don't consciously remember, like how one of our children always refers to an entire different country as the Florida Keys, but it's the Florida Keys. But that's how he put it in. But he knew it exists. It was travel, it was adventure, it was away from home. He has great memories there. And so it doesn't matter that he remembers the exact name or the place, but he can remember a cultural experience, or he can remember the way that it felt to be so proud that he climbed to the top of something that he wouldn't have done when he was at home.
Yeah.
People worry that it disrupts the school schedule or their life schedule. You got time zones, you got classes to deal with. What say you?
I'm not the one to talk to on this because I got in trouble at a parent, some sort of school get-together where I said out loud that I thought the perfect attendance award was lame, and you reprimanded me pretty hard.
Did you say lame or stupid?
I might have said both.
I mean, I
lame
think
and
you
stupid.
said
Not
stupid.
my
I think I was
kindest words.
no.
And I don't mean to take away from someone that's showing perseverance and being there. I just know for our family lifestyle, those days that we've missed of school to take an adventure or to road school has so outweighed a normal schedule. And, we like our rhythms. We like our traditions. We like, keeping things in a semi-organized fashion. But if you don't leave room to disrupt the schedule and take some of these more inspiring moments, man, I couldn't believe it. That's what I meant by the perfect attendance thing not agreeing with me, because I would never, ever want to take those away.
Yeah. In all fairness, you don't agree with a lot of things. So.
That's true. I'm the rebellious one.
So that's why all this works for you. So it does disrupt the schedule in some ways, right? But in the best of ways. I remember one of the Montessori schools that the older boys went to said, I don't ever mind that you travel, because when you come back, your children share with us the culture of where they've been experiencing. They tell us stories, they show us pictures, and they expand everyone around them's worldview. And I thought, what a broader vision of what really matters in a classroom and in a society and in a world, more so than it's not just about the container that you find yourself in the moment. It's about what is going on externally and helping everyone create a larger vision, even if they're not doing it themselves. So I think it does disrupt, and yet they can bring so much back to it that it almost further grounds and isn't disruptive.
Absolutely. And that container, it goes away, because now we have grown children where they can't go on every adventure. We can't even dictate their schedule. So now looking back to say, do we have any regrets about disrupting the schedule to take those adventures, to have these trips? I mean, I have less than zero regrets. In fact, I only have ones that I'm like, gosh, I wish we had done a few more.
Yeah, I know.
Not the opposite.
All right. How about it's too expensive?
Too expensive.
I think you can take, I guess we're talking about travel, but travel doesn't have to be far or long or expensive. You can travel, you can take an RV to the next state and stay and go hiking, and there's different experiences. So the value doesn't lie in how much something costs. It lies in the experiences, the cellular memory of bonding and exploring.
So yeah, I had a couple of mentors that did really well financially, and they confided in me years down the road, because all of their kids are grown, that they wish that they had stepped away more, and they probably would have less of a net worth today. They'd trade a good amount back of that to have a little better of an integration of taking these trips, where they said, no, I got to reinvest. Well, they can't get that time back. So I'm not saying to be financially irresponsible, but they would give up a piece of their net worth, a large piece, to go back and be able to have spent that money of what they thought was too expensive and too taxing to their growth. And we've learned that. I mean, even with, my family board meetings I remember when we first started teaching that, people would be like, oh, I can't afford it. And I thought, man.
Same with date night. People say the same thing about date night.
Yeah, same thing with date night. But man, there were so many times, especially the boys when they were young. I mean, it would cost maybe $10, $15. We would go to the beach, which was free. And then they'd want to go to some really gross fast food place. and that was their choice for that day. They get to choose the day. But the expense was more of a fear than an actual. And so that always stuck with me for little memories of such. And then sometimes I know there's trips where we're like, man, should we do this? I mean, I remember one of our 6-week RV adventures, we had a lot of things going on, and we almost debated canceling it because we had some financial shortages. This is years back. And we didn't. And I don't even remember exactly what the shortages were, but I can't imagine how expensive it would feel right now if we hadn't taken that trip.
Yeah, it was a really magical one that I know we draw upon and the kids really appreciated, which brings me to the next one is a lot of people say children won't even appreciate it. Now, you just referenced talking about money and cost, and I mean, we don't even remember how much it cost or what the shortages were, because what matters most is that it really did feel like everybody was appreciating it. We were appreciating each other in our time spent together, and there was so much appreciation and awareness of our space with each other and our I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that a lot of people say they're not going to appreciate it because they look through the lens of an adult. They look through the lens of like, well, if we're not flying first class to Europe and staying in the Waldorf Astoria, then this is going to be terrible. There's some, entrepreneurs get a fine taste for finer things. And we think our kids want that, where the fact of the matter is sometimes they're bored to hell by bringing them on an adventure that's more for us than for them. But if you just kept it simple, there could be a huge appreciation, because this is kind of a common thing. We have this bad lens of putting things on how much it costs. And look, we like some pretty nice vacations, but there's been some super, super simple ones that have been loading the family truckster and going somewhere that were extremely economical, and they appreciated them. In fact, I think there's some core elements we've seen of we're available. If we're on vacation, we're not on our phones. We're talking with them. We're having fun with them, whether it's in a simple hotel pool or something of such. But it doesn't have to be fancy. And the amount that our kids draw on, I think that's where I've really appreciated that we talk about fun times that we've had to plan more. I mean, we've heard the exact opposite. Man, I was so excited you guys put that. I'm so glad you guys brought us to this place or that place.
Mm-hmm. So right now we're readying for our annual family trip. Since the older two turned into adults, we've been doing annual trips, whole family annual trips, where you and I, we plan a vacation. We kind of announce it to everyone. We do a week, give or take a day or two. And we go somewhere fun and somewhere we've never been all together. And we bring spouses. The two older boys have phenomenal spouses in their lives. And so the 9 of us, actually, this trip, there's going to be 10 of us. We have one bonus coming with us. And we're going to travel. Last year, we did Ireland.
This year, Eleuthera. But
yeah.
Tell people, why are you so unfazed by taking an international trip around the holidays to, why are you unfazed? A lot of parents would be stressed to the gills.
Wow, we just have so much fun. It is messy, but we create so many memories. And I remember, you referenced the previous Ireland trip, but then this last one, wow, there was so many moments that you can't create in a familiar container. So I personally don't find like ledges to jump off of into bodies of water when I'm just home. I'm not usually like, oh, look, bridge, jump. But when we go to Eleuthera, we tend to find bridges and things to launch off of into bodies of water. And we tend to have conversations that maybe we wouldn't have had in our at-home container, because now we're in a new and inspiring environment. There's different space. The work isn't calling. And, we do a little bit of planning, but not much. And we just let adventure take over. And we know that we're here together. I don't know. Was there something more you were thinking?
I think it wasn't a trick question. I was just like, okay, you're basically saying the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
You're saying, yeah, there's little things, but those, I've seen it for you, they drown out so naturally because there's so much fun. And I think there's buy-in. Our family talks about these trips. We get excited for them. We get along, and we're all excited to go. And so I think there's such buy-in to the trip where they've helped plan it. We've looked up pictures of it. We've talked about the different things we're going to do or what can we do. And so there's been a lot of buy-in. So it doesn't mean there's not going to be our 4-year-old having some mini meltdowns and arguments between, some of the youngers or even the olders, who knows. But I think everyone's got buy-in, and they're so excited about it as they play up a little more. It's not like, hey, just be ready, we're going. I think that sometimes people help support what they help create. Everyone's been involved with this. So I think, and then your natural leadership is you're like, I'm just so excited to be here. The little things are going to stay little things. And the big thing is we're all together creating this memory and taking the adventure.
Yeah. And I think it helps too, while you're talking, I got a couple ideas. It helps too that we did start traveling smaller groups. So it was just you and I and the 2 older boys. And we were doing, Australia, and we were doing national and international trips. And so that group, and then when it grew, we did the same thing, but then with that group. And then as it just kept growing, we did we replicated. And so what was happening is the older ones were able to be like, hey, let's go back to that place. Or, hey, I remember this. And they share the stories. And then the younger ones think, hey, okay, I want to go there too.
Yeah, that's true.
And now, as I mentioned, spouses coming, the girls have communicated, I'm excited to go to this place that I've heard all these stories about. You guys have been there. I've not been there. Now I get to go make memories there too. And so I think, going back to creating this culture of travel and worldview instead of being so egocentric or self-view, just being able to expand into these things and these memories and these places. And what's really cool is we always make friends in everywhere we go, or we have family where we go. We pour into the community and we truly learn about culture and service and experience. And there's always some humbling experience. And to what you said, the go with it attitude. One thing that I've had to learn is that nothing is an emergency unless it's actually an emergency. So we have arrived at an airport with a child with no shoes.
Yes, we have.
For an international trip.
I'm not proud of that.
Twice, actually. Recently, it happened again.
I'm proud of the second
Two different
time,
children.
It's like the fact we would let that happen 2 times.
She hid her shoes. I mean, okay. So this twice. And guess what? It's fine. And we got home and nobody stopped us in the airport or the airplane or anywhere and said, hey, your child doesn't have shoes. You can't ride on. So not really a big deal.
As long as we have the passports.
But what is a big deal?
Figured out.
We once had to have emergency surgery in a foreign country. That was kind of a big deal. So sometimes adventure leads to craziness, but nothing is an emergency unless it's truly an emergency.
But the one who got the hook in the foot is the most excited to go back where we're going next week.
Yeah, and he became a first responder, so he helps other people remove hooks from their feet.
See, it all works out. So overall, I would not get too worked up over travel. The amount of anxiety we build up over the little things instead of the big things, where you will not always have this time. You will not always be able to create these memories at this level because, as you know, the 18 Summers is not a cheap pickup line for us. We have seen such a difference. Although we're all still close, it changes. It changes. And so I want to harness this time and make the most of it of that we can. And the little things are just that, the little things, and the big things that can happen from family adventure have, again, as I said to you, the juice is definitely worth the squeeze. And so it's something we are very passionate about. We're going to talk more about. This is just the tip of the iceberg with making kind of a roadmap for you guys to take it without killing it before it even happens. So stay with us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're going to be going deeper into how to actually make the most on vacations or even figure out what the team wants to do where everyone has that buy-in. So you'll join us on that. We'll look forward to talking again.